All right.
Let's get warmed up with that real quick.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right, lay it down.
Okay.
I dig it. All right, cool. Testing out the new stuff, folks.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Just the new mics we have acquired. Welcome. Welcome back to Nerds, and More Nerds.
That's right. We've been.
We are your hosts.
Wait, yeah. It feels like we haven't been here for a while, but we were doing so well that.
Yeah.
Well, that's none of anyone's business, but we know what's going on.
We took a little bit of a break. You know, had some pre-recordings that we decided to post on the days that we had off.
Yeah,
we're just that's fine.
being productive
Yeah, exactly.
for your sake. The listeners, that means.
That's right.
Right.
Anyway, my name's Miguel,
I'm Cole.
and today we bring to you The Darkest Minds.
Ooh.
A new movie that just came out. I don't know when it came out, actually. I just noticed it in the theater. And we were like, you know what? Let's go see that movie.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because maybe watching, Mission Impossible Fallout might not have been as exciting.
Right.
You kind of have an expectation, with a film like Mission Impossible attached to it,
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
like I said, it's just like an installment of a grander series, and that one's been going since like the late 90s.
That's right.
So in my head, it was kind of like, man, I really have no other earlier film to kind of fill in the gaps or to really relate it to or anything like that. But to check out The Darkest Minds, man, that was cool. That was
Totally.
really cool.
Well, on that note, let's roll the intro music.
All right, great.
Let's get right into this. What are your thoughts on the movie?
Well, I think as far as movies go, and just like I went and saw a movie, it was good, it was bad.
Right.
This movie was great.
Nice.
This movie was really great.
Yeah.
I give it like a high 8, close to a low 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It was. I thought that it was well acted with. From the only actress that I recognized was Mandy Moore, and then I couldn't even really place her. So
right.
It was cool that maybe she was so far into her career that it didn't immediately click with me, but
totally
didn't recognize any of the other characters like at all from nothing else, and I thought that was great, because if you can use sort of unseasoned new talent like that and sell a movie really well and really I got drawn into it. It was really great.
Yeah.
For me, that's a huge plus.
Absolutely.
It was kind of like Chronicle when that came out.
Yeah.
Remember we saw that?
Yeah.
That movie was fantastic.
Totally.
And it was, even at that point I didn't recognize any of those guys.
Right.
And Michael B. Jordan, I think that was one of his
Michael
first
B. Jordan.
films.
Yeah, totally.
Man.
And it's one of those movies where you don't really know what you're walking into.
Exactly.
Like, you've never heard of this. You've never witnessed a trailer for it or anything like that.
Not even a bit.
You're just going to see this movie because it looks interesting just from the poster.
Right.
And that's cool.
And I was only going off of your word. I had to say, oh, that sounds interesting, because, like I said, never seen commercials, no trailers, no nothing, no previews of any kind.
And literally, I just looked in my phone, and I saw that, it was at the time that we could make.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Let's see what this is about.
Yeah, man. Good choice.
Thanks, man.
Good choice. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought I also thought it was really great. A lot of jokes that aren't like MCU jokes, Marvel Cinematic Universe jokes. It's more like I don't know.
Like implied, not really like
Right.
obvious jokes.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agree. They did a really good job of bringing the characters together. You know, the way characters in those situations could be brought together. You know, they weren't over familiar with each other, but they also weren't complete strangers, and there was still a bit of like, you know, I'm still not sure about you kind of thing, you know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
all the humor was there, you know,
Yeah.
relating, having the understandings they have, you know,
Absolutely.
and the whole thing, being teenagers.
Yeah.
To me, that was big. Just like, you know, that's such like an up and down and side to side, inside and out kind of coming of age time. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
there's a lot you don't understand, and there's a lot you're beginning to understand. And being teenagers in that kind of setting, where all of a sudden now they're being hunted and like, you know,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. They didn't have to like. They weren't sitting and crying and you know, feeling sorry for themselves. Oh, I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't know what to do. No, these kids took charge. They found shelter. They found clothing. They found food. Everything they were going to need to keep making it.
I mean, mostly the food was just Twinkies, but
Okay, they're teenagers, you know. But
and I'm sure they needed the money for the endorsement.
sure,
you know.
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just it was great. It was great to see a movie just kind of highlight maybe like, I don't know. I got kind of it, not really the Goonies. It would be wrong to really compare this to that.
Yeah,
because
definitely not the Goonies.
they were a lot younger in the Goonies,
Yeah.
and it was a completely different thing anyway. They were looking
Yeah.
for treasure and this kind of
Yeah.
thing, which is like every kid's kind of like fantasy, I guess. Like, let's go find treasure, you know.
Right.
This is like the next thing like that though.
Yeah.
I have powers. I don't really know how to use them, but I know I've got them. I have a vague idea of how to use them, but I can still be taught.
Right.
You know, and that to me is like, man, teenagers with powers. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
You know, the world is your oyster, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And
Excuse me.
and then just to make a film with like adults being afraid of children, like
Right.
that was cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely.
But also, man, heartbreaking. Did you get
Oh,
that?
totally.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
The first now where are we at with spoilers? Can we just talk about this film, or
Let's try to keep the spoilers to a minimum.
Okay.
I still want people to like go see this movie. And,
Right.
And
Still pretty new.
obviously it's one of those movies where nobody's really heard of it or anything.
Right.
So let's at least just
Try to hold back some?
try to hold back on the spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I can say is there was no lack of emotional conflict.
Right.
You know, with adults to children.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was enough to make you, you know, it put me in a place of like relating to my folks all of a sudden again. You know,
Yeah.
it was like, are these just old people I live with? Are these like my parents that I love, that I have a connection to? You know, I get my DNA from them. Is that
Yeah,
it? You know,
yeah.
or like a thing like that. There was almost that, it touched on that moment for me a little bit
Wow. Yeah.
in
yeah,
parts
yeah.
of the film, and I thought that was great because now all of a sudden you're almost pitted against each other.
Right.
This fear is like, you know, these are my folks, but I can't really be their kid anymore, you know,
Whoa.
or
Yeah.
I'm just ostracized now completely from my own family, much less society and everything else.
That's so interesting, dude.
was
So
ha-
interestingly put.
It was heavy, man. It was really
Absolutely.
heavy. And
Yeah.
then just like, you know, so these kids, they have these powers, and there's like a hierarchy kind of, or like a, you know, they show like a pyramid of the safer powers that these kids have, and kind of
Yeah.
going up the pyramid to like the most dangerous.
Right. Right.
And they kind of color coded them to understand and to categorize and all that.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's what we do as human beings.
Right.
And so I get that. And it also kind of rattled me a little bit, because it was like, man, you know, even in a situation now where something new comes up in society, we understand where we are, where we've come from, and everything else, sort of our history, if you will,
Yeah.
and we still repeat it by categorizing and compartmentalizing people into groups and things like
Right.
that, color based too, even.
Ugh.
You know, it was a bit sad there too, you know.
Totally.
Like, now all these kids just have to fit into another system of segregation almost, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of messed up.
But I mean, at least it's not like the color of their skin or something like that.
Right,
It's
right. It was less. It's weird to say personal, but yeah, less about them the people as it was them their abilities, you
yeah,
know. But then they're still being like labeled, you know. I
totally.
mean, it definitely touched on some of that stuff, and I thought that was cool, and they didn't go crazy with it, you know.
Right, right.
They could have easily, blown that out of proportion,
Yeah,
but it was enough for you to understand. Some of these people need to be away from each other, and these ones
yeah.
really ought to be
Just
watched
terminated.
closely. Yeah,
Yeah.
or even outright killed. I mean,
Right.
it was amazing, man. It makes you think. It makes you think.
Absolutely.
Who was your favorite character, Miguel? Who'd you really bond to?
I think I really enjoyed Zoo.
Yeah,
Zoo, just because she was quiet,
yeah.
really really quiet.
I don't think she said anything the whole
She
film.
said nothing the entire film,
Yeah.
but her actions spoke louder than her words.
That caught me a few times. I
Yeah.
thought, wow, that like she got everything. Like
Yeah.
you could tell she understood it.
Right.
You could tell she was internalizing it. And
How crazy
yeah.
for that young of a girl to be acting,
yeah,
knows how to do all of that.
silently at that.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times on set, she must have had the feeling like I got to say something here, or like maybe even did, and they said, remember,
Right.
you're not going to speak, and
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, her character really touched me because of that. Just that
Totally.
she was, maybe the fear got to her, or maybe she
Yeah.
just, just didn't feel comfortable, or whatever it was. But there was a deep resonance with that quiet character. That was
right.
really well done.
Absolutely.
I think I like Chubbs, man. I think I
Yeah.
like Chubbs the most. Yeah, he was funny, he was cool, he was real smart, and he wasn't making things up. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't like just saying stuff because stuff had to be said, or creating a situation that wouldn't have otherwise been there. Like he was very practical, very logical,
Yeah.
and didn't want to mess around.
Totally.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And funny. Super
Yeah.
funny.
So funny.
Man.
The comedian
Yeah,
of the group.
definitely. But it had everything. It had like what do I say? Like, the emotional sort of almost love story element to it.
Yeah,
There was definitely teenage romance.
Yeah.
I don't know who hasn't experienced that even like a little bit in their life,
Right. Right. I just had to say the end, or near the end, with the monologue
Yeah.
that Liam says to Ruby.
Ruby.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude. I got the super feels from that.
Dude.
Just, I don't know, it had to be written down. It had to be like from the book.
Oh, okay.
Something.
Yeah.
Because
You couldn't improvise that?
totally.
Yeah.
Totally couldn't improvise it.
Right.
That was legit the best feels I've ever felt
Wow.
from a romance type. And the cinematic work that they had,
Yeah.
like super close on Ruby's face, and like just getting a little bit of Liam's mouth
Yeah.
every so often, but like movement. Oh, dude.
So like you could see she was hearing everything he's saying and
Yeah.
and absorbing it
Mm-hmm.
and sort of like getting the feelings from it.
Exactly.
And I don't know, yeah, it was cool that you could kind of see they're in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
You know how movies sometimes have that they'll do a scene, excuse me, and maybe they want to get it from a different angle or something. So they'll film it with another camera, but they'll
Right.
miss something like that. In
Yeah.
the editing, they'll miss that they're in the same place, in the same, position and whatever.
Yeah.
And they can easily lose that muddying it up with too many angles or too many different things.
Definitely.
They didn't do that in this film.
No, they didn't.
It was the shots were true.
Yeah,
and
it was
they,
like a bunch of one shots.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
were just so good.
But it's easy to think that maybe that could be boring, because
Yeah.
it's cool to see it from different angles. But
Right. No, they nailed it perfectly.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to some degree, with a lot of unknowns, actors. I mean, there might have been moments of like some stumbling in the acting. Not heavy though. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I thought all the actors did a great job being who they were. There were just a few times where I thought, maybe a few more takes on that scene would have made it feel a little more real. And maybe it was those sort of bandito kids that they ran into at the mall. Those were the ones I felt like that whole part was a little bit. Yeah. But the four that the story concentrates on, they were solid.
Absolutely.
They had a good rapport. You 100%. Could tell they got close being actors working on the project.
Yeah.
It's shown through in the film.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I had another note I wanted to hit here that okay, so the way it ended, sequel.
Oh, sequel all day.
There's going to be a sequel.
There has to be.
You said you think there will be maybe one or two more.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a series. I mean, if it's based off a novel, think of how many books there are for that novel. We don't know at all because this is the first time we've ever heard of this we didn't even know it was a novel.
Right.
Let alone just a good story or original idea.
Yeah.
Going into this, but at the end credits, it was just based on a novel.
Yeah.
What? For real?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You got to go check this novel out.
Certainly.
Yeah. But it's got to be a series.
Now, with that being said, these kids now, they're teenagers. They don't have too many more years of being kids, right?
Right.
So with sequels kind of in the wing, what do you think that leads to?
I think it's so. Are you asking when they're going to release these movies, these next however many series?
A bit of that, and also I guess like the actors themselves.
Okay.
They look teenage.
Yeah.
Would they use the same actors
they
in the upcoming films? I couldn't see it any other way.
Right.
Still, on a timeline of production and release and everything else, how soon can you do and make another release of this series for it to make sense and believable that these kids are still kind of in the thick of what they're in, and the conflict is still, steep.
I know Disney now, they have a ridiculous boatload amount of money.
Yeah.
To go along with creating movies, and I know that they can produce movies in ungodly record times.
Yeah, almost at will.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is a no-brainer. It's gonna come out every single year.
Right.
They're gonna have a new movie for it. But at the same time, Star Wars isn't always the same cast every year.
Yeah.
And neither is Marvel.
Right.
I mean, it is for the most part with Avengers Infinity War. But I can only assume that for Infinity War, they did both movies at the same time.
Or very close to each other anyway to make up for that gap.
Exactly.
Okay. Kind of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like they kind of just powered through that whole series and released them staggered.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
But this isn't nearly as hard to edit. I don't think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, not a lot of special effects. I mean, some,
but not enough to make it daunting.
Yeah.
I think they can definitely nail it out in a year, a year's worth. Maybe 2 years.
Right.
But I doubt it.
Okay.
I highly doubt it because it's Harry Potter. That was 2 years.
Right.
Harry Potter had to be 2 years because their special effects are ridiculous.
And that's almost all CGI.
Yeah.
Not all, but I mean quite a bit.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, they had like flying. I mean, this had levitating, but it's levitating.
And it's easier to do that stuff now too,
Absolutely.
in
100%.
films. I mean, it almost looked like you could ask that actress, how did it feel when he pulled you onto the dance floor like that, like did you really just kind of float over there? Like it looked so
totally, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
It's just like wow.
Really? Yeah.
It was just great. The other thing that I really can't wait to see after watching this film and the way it ended, because these four teenagers that ended up sort of becoming a what do you want to call them, a squad or just a tight group anyway, a team,
a family.
They get split at the end.
Yeah.
Like completely split.
Right.
One's over here, one's over there, one's here, and the other one's,
doing stuff,
heading up, a major thing.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see how the four of them
reconnect.
Yep, get brought back together.
Yeah.
How they reunite, the way, because it has to happen.
Absolutely.
You don't develop these characters and show how strongly they all care for each other in such a short time to, have them indefinitely separated.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm really keen to see how they do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited for that myself.
What do you think of the powers themselves that these kids had?
I think they were cool. I feel like okay, let's go over the powers first off.
Okay, right. Green.
Green is safe. They are very smart.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's their power.
Like mathematics and...
But like everything.
Yeah.
They are the smartest breed of people.
Right. Heightened intelligence.
Yeah. Blue, levitation.
Yeah, telepathic kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah,
they could
telekinetic, yeah.
Yeah.
They can move things with their, minds. Yellow, electricity.
Yeah, they can manipulate electricity and technology and things like that.
Right. Red.
Red.
That's where it gets danger.
What do you think of that?
Whoa, man.
They've only got one use, don't they? I mean, they just look like sort of like, the brutes in the.
Let's not say what this power is.
Right. But
just because for the movie's sake, I don't want people to get that ruined for them.
Sure.
Because we didn't find out until maybe past halfway through the movie.
Yeah, like 2/3 into it.
But I'm shocked that they didn't use any like wind or water type stuff. Like fluids maybe.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess wind is kind of like you can kind of control stuff like that with your mind, I suppose.
Yeah. But it was what they chose for these red people.
Yeah.
That kind of struck you as.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I have to admit, I wasn't sure how those powers would come into use.
Right.
Or at what point they'd interact with them and what to do about them,
Yeah.
When it did happen, it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
It kind of made sense, though, the way that some of the factions that are out there were trying to round up kids. Like, right. I thought that was really interesting, too.
Absolutely.
It's a deep story, folks. I mean, like, you've really gotta check this one out, I think.
Seriously, yeah. I give it a 5 Cheetos and a popsicle.
Wow.
Whatever that means.
I was gonna give it 3 new pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
And a skateboard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is really nice.
I mean, for teenage sakes, come
Absolutely.
on.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. And then of course orange at the top of the pyramid.
Orange, of course. Yeah, we won't say what that is again.
We'll stay hush about that. But
stay hush about that.
but orange is above red,
it is above red.
and red was really like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Red is dangerous.
dangerous. Orange is
Eliminate it now.
well. So is red.
Well, so
I
is
mean,
red, but it's yeah.
Either way, they're both
Right.
very. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Something.
Yeah, exactly. Something. They're tough,
Yeah.
and people are afraid of them the most.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'd love to see. I'd love to see the film kind of include more adults after this sort of established the series, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of understand what's going on now, and now we get that there's a greater conflict. There's going to be a lot more of this going on. Now I want to see, the lifestyle adults have had to. So like, folks, if you can imagine that kids are the only people afflicted with these powers that are happening now,
Right.
and as a result, they're being rounded up, being put in facilities and things like this to be monitored, to be kind of sequestered. And so as a result, there are no kids anywhere else. You don't see them in the playgrounds, at schools, anything like this. You see whole parking lots full of school buses just not being used.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what are the adults doing?
Right.
Are they just growing old and getting rusty and creaky and whatever, I mean,
Yeah, man.
they didn't really say a whole lot about that.
Right.
And it was just a shock to these kids to understand that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some of that side of it
Same.
in the rest of the series
Oh, absolutely.
to kind of, do the parents want their kids back? Are
Right.
they really afraid of them, or do they, what's going on there?
Or are the only adults the ones with guns and
Right. Are they
know.
just going to shoot kids when they see them, kind of thing? Like,
Right.
yeah. And are they having more kids?
right?
Are people still like deciding, I want a family, I don't care what could happen to it?
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
There is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But man,
So interesting.
what a great, I mean, it was just such a great story. I don't know who wrote it,
Yeah.
but, I don't know that matters necessarily,
Super good.
yeah.
Super good series. We highly suggest you guys go watch this movie.
I think so.
In theaters. Try not to wait until it gets released out on DVD or anything.
Yeah.
The experience itself in the theater is really good.
Yeah. And just shy of telling you how to spend your money, it's just a suggestion we make.
Yeah.
Go have a good night at the movies and see something entertaining, something that we think you'll want your friends to see, and you'll have something to talk about.
Absolutely.
It was a great movie, and me personally, I think it's one to stand behind.
Absolutely.
They can't make another one without good enough funding, and
Certainly.
it would be a shame not to see this go somewhere.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
man. I want to spit lines out and talk about scenes and everything like that. But
I know, but yeah.
I know what we're about, and I know I can't do that.
Yeah. Let's try and keep that to our personal selves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. We'll touch base on that after this episode.
Okay.
Cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our episode. So
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
And also, if any of you that hear this episode have seen the movie or have anything to say about it, add to it, critique it, whatever, maybe you think we're full of BS, whatever it is, anyway, comment on it. We'd love to start a conversation that, may,
Turn into something beautiful.
see,
Yeah.
even your hate. So bring it.
So yeah, bring it on. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. Let us know what you think.
Please.
Anyway, that's it.
Cool.
Have have a good night.
Yep, or don't.
Or good day.
Yeah.
Or wherever you are. Just have a good one.
Just be good. Yeah.
All right, nerds out.
Out.